You're listening to The World Cafe. I'm Talia Schlenker. Today on the show, the war on drugs. Their new album, A Deeper Understanding, is epic, ambitious, huge. To give you an idea, the first single they released, called Thinking of a Place, clocked in at over 11 minutes.
And I'm thinking of a place, and it feels so very real. Just moving through the dark.
But make no mistake, the war on drugs is no noodly jam band. Every single sound is deliberate and meticulous. That's thanks in large part to the way lead singer and songwriter Adam Grandiseel works. In the New York Times, Joe Coscarelli called him an obsessive studio rat in constant search of the authenticity he sees in titans like Bruce Springsteen, Bob Dylan, Tom Petty, and Neil Young. The War on Drugs formed more than a decade ago as the brainchild of Adam and former member Kurt Vile in Philly, where we make the World Cafe. And although we've always been proud to call the War on Drugs locals, we got to share a little bit of the credit with the West Coast now. To make a deeper understanding, Adam rented studio space in LA where his girlfriend lives. While driving around LA, Adam became obsessed with one particular Warren Zevon song. He'll talk about why, and the War on Drugs will cover it. Adam will also talk about the influence of Bob Dylan and anxiety. While Adam was making the last War on Drugs record, 2014's Lost in the Dream, things got so bad he sometimes couldn't leave his house. But before we get to all that, the War on Drugs perform live, and boy, do they perform. This is Holding On off A Deeper Understanding.
Once I was in love.
Live here at the World Cafe, that is The War on Drugs with Holding On off their new album called A Deeper Understanding. I'm talking to lead singer and songwriter Adam Grandisiel. Adam, welcome back to the World Cafe. Hi.
Pleasure to be here.
Yeah.
We love this world.
Yeah, well, we're happy to have you in it, that's for sure. We're going to hear you do another live performance of a song from the new record, You Don't Have to Go.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, what do you want to tell me about how this one came together?
You know, I remember I was sitting at home a lot playing like these general chords in the piano, and I had like 4 or 5 songs like kind of there in this kind of format. And I was at the studio one day and by myself, and I just I sat down at the Wurlitzer, and I was like, I'm just going to record something. So I just put a drum machine down from this old Baldwin Funmaker organ, and I did it on the first take, even like the bum ba, that was like very in the moment, like I hadn't prepared that. But it was like an hour later, I had put on like a scratch bass and then a couple electric guitars, and I remember listening back and I was like, wow, this is like my new favorite song that I didn't expect to have, had to put down today. But it was just because I just pressed record one day, and everyone in the band added something great. So, and Anthony plays the solo in the live version, and like it's beautiful. You know what I mean? There's like all this live interplay, and
he's such a nuanced player.
Oh yeah, it's ridiculous.
Let's say his whole name. It's Anthony LaMarca playing lead guitars, and then tell us the rest of the band who's in here with you.
Charlie Hall on the drums, Dave Hartley on the bass, Robbie Bennett on the piano and Wurlitzer, and John Natchez plays saxophone and organ.
Yeah. All right, let's hear it.
Cool.
This is You Don't Have to Go, The War on Drugs, live at the World Cafe.
Love is a bird I can't even see, even in the darkness, right in front of me. And you were shining bright through the window in the morning. There's a tone that rises gently through the window. You can be free, sometimes brave. Sometimes all you wanna do is run away. I don't need the cause, the hurt is much too real. Oh, even lost, I'm silently waiting for how the room will be painted. pull you into the light. Lost my edge today, singing all my songs in the portrait, pushed and pulled apart at the seams. I can feel the change. Winds of love blow through, let it move through, let it blow through, pull you into the night. Yeah.
Beautiful sax part on that song.
Oh, yeah,
That's You Don't Have to Go.
Definitely.
Yeah, so nice. The War on Drugs are performing live here at the World Cafe off their new album, A Deeper Understanding. I'm talking to lead singer and songwriter Adam Grandiseel. I hear a little bit of Dylan in there. I heard it in the first couple lines. The first time I heard it on the record, I was like, oh, I hear a little bit of that. And I read that you had Dylan fridge magnets on your old fridge. Is that true?
Yeah, I did actually.
Is that true?
I did.
Yeah. When does Bob Dylan go back to for you?
First, I mean, obviously, growing up listening to radio, you hear it all the time. But it wasn't until I was like 19, and I heard the acoustic "Tangled Up in Blue," like the New York session. And at the time, it's like it's a very ripe age for a lot of things. And if you're going through a breakup or you're like, you're in love with somebody or whatever, it's like Bob Dylan, New York Blood on the Track sessions, and your romantic life connect is usually the moment. And then it was just like the beginning of a lifelong, journey of listening and reading, and yeah.
When I think about like what I love so much about Dylan records, especially early records or box sets with live sessions, is that everything is so loose.
Yeah.
And I don't get the sense. I get the sense that Bob Dylan labors over the words and the poetry, and that there's an incredible degree of meticulousness to that, but that the music happens the way that it does, and it sounds so different than your process. And I think that's an interesting thing. Like, I wonder if you hear an out of tune guitar on a song on Tangled Up in Blue and cringe or love it.
No, that's the stuff I love. I mean, I feel like something that a lot of those guys, and I've heard Bob say in particular, is like the live version of the song, or the performance of the song, is the actual real version. And I definitely, now having a band that that we all connect with musically, and I'm starting to write material that I'm like really proud of, and that is more of like a 6-way interplay. I like think of that every time we play a show, that like I get to spend the time on like the thing that lives forever, and that's part of me that loves to like, craft the record in the way I do, and I have a process that works for me. But when you start writing things that can really be performed by 6 people, that's when you realize what he means. It's just like that's the version, because everything changes over time. That's like the whole thing where people go to see Dylan now and they're like, oh, I don't know. I'm like, he's just missing the point, It's like
That's what this is now.
right, and it's like I remember a couple years ago at the Americana-Rama tour, or whatever. I was in the pit watching Dylan, and he was singing "Simple Twist of Fate," and it was like all these people around were talking, and I was just like, "That's the guy singing the song. Like, that's the song, man." You know what I mean? Right here, right in front of you, the dude's singing "Simple Twist of Fate." What more do you want?
Yeah. Yeah. Forget what you have at home.
It's loose, but it's like it's there.
Yeah.
It is what it is. It changes over time, and there is no like right way to sing something.
Twist of Fate. Adam Grandisiel of The War on Drugs is my guest here on the World Cafe. Another reference that I know is really important to you on this record, and somebody that you're going to cover for us in studio today, Warren Zevon.
Yeah.
So was he someone that had been important to you for a long time, or did you sink into his music when you were living in L.A.?
Yeah, it was definitely an LA thing. I remember growing up and hearing, all those classic rock radio hits and not disliking it, but just never paying too much attention. And then, I was in LA and I had a copy of Excitable Boy, and I just heard Accidentally Like a Martyr. And I was like, man, so simple. It's like you're trying to write songs and you're trying to like write lyrics, and you have a book and you have like a notepad and you're writing, and your day is consumed with like having an idea when you're in like Bed Bath & Beyond and being like, I gotta write this word down, you know what I mean? And then you hear a song like that and you're like, man, like, maybe he went through 20 notebooks to get to that basic, beautifully simple song, but I was like, I doubt it, man. Like, so I just became really obsessed with that song and just listening to it over and over, and just for inspiration, and then the guys came out, not Anthony and John, but we did this benefit at this house in Pasadena. It was like very stripped down, and I was like, guys, let's learn this Warren Zevon song I've been obsessed with. And the show was the next day, so we learned it that night. We probably played it like 30 times at my studio. And then, Jackson Browne sang backup vocals on that song, and they recorded at Sunset Sound. And then we get there, and we're line checking, and then we're about to start, and then, of course, Jackson Browne shows up to this thing. And, of course, we start playing it, and, of course, I just draw a complete blank on every lyric. You know what I mean? It's like I couldn't remember for the life of me what the lyrics were. At all.
Oh, no. Did you keep playing?
So we stopped it, and then I was, like, obviously embarrassed. And I was like, all right, let's just do it again. And it's just complete mind freeze. And it doesn't have any, I don't think it was because Jackson Browne was there. It was just, like, the whole thing. It was, like, I wasn't prepared. I didn't know the song as well as... I'd sang the song a bunch, but I still wasn't, like... I still hadn't, like... I don't know, known the song or something. But then, for this tour, we worked it up as a 6-piece, and it's like one of my favorite songs to play. It's so simple. Anthony plays that beautiful guitar swell part. John plays beautiful organ. It's like background vocals from Dave and Anthony. It's a really enjoyable song to play and to sing.
Yeah. All right, well, let's hear it.
Cool.
Live here at the World Cafe. This is The War on Drugs covering Warren Zevon, Accidentally Like a Martyr.
The phone don't ring, no, and the sun refused to shine. Never thought I'd have to pay so dearly for what was already mine. should have done me your son. Never thought I'd ever be so lonely after such a long, long time. Time out of mind. We made bad love, shadow love, random love, and abandoned love. Accidentally, like a martyr. The hurt gets worse, the hurt gets harder. We made mad love, shadow love, random love, and abandoned love. Accidentally, like a martyr. The hurt gets worse, the heart gets harder.
Live here in studio, The War on Drugs, covering Warren Zevon's Accidentally Like a Martyr. You said you listened to that song a lot driving around L.A. Huge change from the decade that you spent in Philly before. What made you move to L.A.?
Well, we finished touring, and my girlfriend lives out in L.A., so I moved everything into a storage unit and lived out there. It was great.
Jeez. When you say everything, this was you, like, for a decade lived in a house in Philly where musicians would live with you or record with you. Like, it sounds like a real...
Yeah, it became, like, I think over the years, I mean, I think I had, like, 56 roommates or something. I tallied it up at one point.
Can you describe what the house looked like? What did it look like?
It's in South Kensington, 3-story, huge house. A huge backyard, like a plot. When I moved in, it was essentially a landfill. It was just all garbage back there. You know, I remember the first time I just decided to just dig a flower bed. Dug a flower bed, and about 5 inches below the soil I found all these bricks. The whole backyard at one point was just a brick road. So if you needed bricks, all you'd have to do is dig 4 or 5 inches into the ground, create a flower bed, and pull the bricks out, and then you could use them all around, like to line the bed, you know. So I worked on this garden for about 9 or 10 years, and it's awesome. I mean, I still, you know, I have friends who live in that house, so I'll have them send me photos of it. But my mom, she's a great gardener, and, you know, she transplanted some lilies and some hostas and brought them down to Philly, and those did really well. And I did mostly perennials and stuff. I tried to do vegetables, but being gone a lot, it's tough. But it was just a great source of peace, you know, in the summer, just going out and gardening all day long, you know, into like the night, you know, digging with your hands and having like song ideas. And then around the summer, I made Lost in the Dream. I don't think I went out there at all.
Why?
I don't know. It just wasn't like, it was somewhere else, you know. We went on tour, you know, pretty much that record came out. We were on tour so much, you know, and then didn't really come back to Philly all that much. You know, it was really good being in LA. It was like, I didn't want to just come home from tour and be back in the same house, in the same room. You know, it just felt like I needed to, if there's anything that I personally could have learned from that record, was that I needed to maybe take steps to experience something new, you know?
Yeah.
So I had the opportunity to kind of like rent a studio. You know, music production or studio life, whatever, is such a big part of Los Angeles that I was able to kind of find like a mid-level, you know, essentially a home studio. It wasn't a full-on commercial studio that was booked out every day. It was like a place that I met this guy, and he was like, I rented it for 15 months, you know, and it was pretty much mine. And he had some cool stuff, and I brought in some cool stuff, and it was a place that the band had as like a West Coast hub, you know? It
Yeah,
was great.
but totally different than having them like around the corner and saying, come over and
Right,
play this.
exactly.
Like,
You know, and there was an element to that thing where I was like really missing my band and the ability to like jam but when they would come out for a week at a time, it was like so focused. It was like hyper focused because I was so obsessed with writing and creating and recording demos and producing that like they would come out and we wouldn't like, you know, we weren't gonna like go to a Lakers game and then, you know, go have dinner in, you know, Malibu. It was like we're just gonna be at my studio from 9 a.m. till 3 a.m., you know? And the studio, I was like a little confused. I was like, wasn't sure if I should do it. It felt like, you know, a big financial commitment every month. But my girlfriend was like really adamant. She's like, this is like, because she was probably living with a guy who's like miserable that he can't like be in the studio 15 hours a day. So she's like, I really think you should do this. I think it'd be great. You know, it's like you need a place to work. And so I was like, all right. And it was like the best thing I could have done.
that's good girlfriend advice.
Yeah, it was good.
Let's hear a song about love, I guess, or love of sorts. Some Knockdown.
Knockdown, yeah.
Far away there is a star raining through the night sky like a drum. Give him on, be some for me. Somehow I can make it rain. Diamonds in the night sky, I'm like a child, all alone, beating on weak. Wanna love you, but I get knocked down. I'm on the
performing live here at the World Cafe, Knock Down, The War on Drugs, off their new album called A Deeper Understanding. I'm talking to lead singer and songwriter Adam Grandisiel. So, A Deeper Understanding, first album since Lost in a Dream in 2014. And I had read an interview where you said that album was fun to make in retrospect. And I wanted to know if you would talk about sort of what that means.
Making music is fun. It's also grueling and tough on people around you, and frustrating for the band, and because you're searching for something that you don't know what it is,
Yeah. One of the things that you said the last time we talked was that it was like, it reminded you of mowing lawns when you were a kid. Like, it's a real pain to do, but then you'd ride your bike around the next day and see 10 beautiful lawns.
Right.
And,
yeah.
Oh, this is nice. This wasn't so bad.
Yeah, it's like if people have you over to cut their lawn, but it's not really that outgrown yet, You can't really tell if you're cutting it on the right line,
Mm-hmm.
So.
Did you mow a lot of lawns when you were a kid in Massachusetts?
Yeah, I mowed a lot of lawns. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
When you were like
a
how
little
old?
company.
Really?
Yeah. Well, I mean, not like I didn't have a truck, but my friend Chris and I, we did have a company we called B and E. For some reason, I called him E and he called me B. Might have been the other way around. I actually don't remember. So we're like, yeah, we're going to be B and E Landscape. We didn't realize that was like breaking and entering. So I imagine that if we ever got around to making cards, people would be like, I don't think I'm going to hire breaking and entering.
Come to my home.
Landscaping. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we were young. We were, 10 or 11.
Yeah.
But even back then, I was interested in gear, because we had a push Toro, a gas-powered Toro, but I really wanted the Craftsman that when you push the bar, went 3.5 miles an hour.
Yeah.
So I mowed a lot of lawns and saved up and bought my first piece of gear.
What was it?
Craftsman mower.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, I was thinking you meant music gear.
No.
You bought your first piece of lawn gear.
Yeah,
wow.
That was where it started.
That's pretty good. Really?
Yeah.
When did you buy your first piece of music gear?
Probably about 2.5 years after that.
Okay.
When I was about 13, maybe 14.
What was that?
That was electric guitar. Although my dad bought me that.
Oh, yeah?
My first Harmony electric with 2 gold foil pickups in it, $99. Great, could still use it. Yeah.
Did he have an instinct that you would be good at it, or had you played it?
No, but I had been turned on to the guitar by a friend, and his father, who, his father played guitar and made his son play drums so he could jam with somebody.
Yeah.
And so I went over to their house. He was like a new friend from 7th grade, and I never jammed ever. I don't think I ever played electric guitar or anything. And when I put on that Red Washburn, I remember, hitting a note. I didn't even know what I was doing. I just hit a string, and the ground shook, and it was like single greatest moment of my life. So I was truly hooked from that moment. I couldn't wait for Jeff to call me again, invite me over to play basketball or whatever so we could maybe jam again. And then I'm fortunate that I've met people that love to do the same thing. I was talking to Dave last night or a couple nights ago, and he was like, same thing happened to me when I picked up my friend's bass, and I didn't know anything about bass, and I just plucked a string and the ground shook, and he's like, this is what I want to do. So.
You guys have been through so much together, and I hope it's okay to ask about this, but you talked about this quite a bit on the last album cycle about sort of being riddled with anxieties while making Lost in the Dream, and that was, like, I think it seems to me anyway, like that's a huge part of the memory of what that time was, and maybe even for your bandmates too. I ask about it from a place of like, it's something that I struggle with too and have a really hard time talking about, and I think that a lot of people do. And I guess I wanted to ask about it because it seems like things are so great right now. And I wonder if there's a huge difference for you this time around than there was a few years ago.
Yeah, I mean, it's like anything with time. It's like you just learn how to like adapt to what it is that now feels normal. In 2013, I wasn't making Lost in the Dream. I was like trying to write songs for an album that I had to make, and trying to wake up and be inspired and turn the tape machine on. And, you know, I was living alone in my house and just not feeling like I knew what I was doing at all, you know? It's like, opened my eyes and I was, 34, 35 years old and didn't really know what was important to me or what I was writing about or searching for or anything, or how to communicate, maybe how to communicate any of that stuff. And I think it manifests itself in different ways, I mean, during that period of time, I think it was pretty heavy on the panic, which would send me into like, it's like a cycle, you can't escape it. But part of it was like, I was doing these interviews like, oh, this guy wants to spend 2 days with you for this magazine. And so it was like a big part of my life. Every day I was waking up like, is today going to be another day where I like can't leave the house, you know what I mean, or something?
So how would you do that if you can't leave the house, but somebody's going to spend 2 days with you to promote a record?
Right, well, so you come bring them to the house,
But what do you do? Yeah.
But eventually it was just like, it creeps into conversation, but I felt like the more I was talking about it from like almost like not a selfish point of view, but I was like, it helped to talk about it, The more and more people were like, oh, that's, same thing for me. And then it didn't feel I didn't feel like I was exposing anything I wasn't proud of or whatever. I wasn't trying to hide anything. It was just a big part of my life when I made that record. And I think part of making a record or working on music or doing stuff you love to do is not letting that anxious energy that comes with excitement and fear of failure and all these things, like, it's okay if it like creeps into like, of course it's going to affect your work because it's, it's your life, it's, you don't have to like hide what it is the main force behind a lot of that stuff. So yeah, it's just, for me with music, it was just finding the tools to manage it. And 3-4 years later, I'm making a new record and the same thing starts happening, but you recognize it this time, so you you try not to get swept up in the whirlpool, for me this time around, I was like, I just need a place I can go every day and work on this thing, lose myself in music, or not be like in my house waiting for that studio time that's happening in 3 weeks, or wishing I had the band here, this or that, like just don't have a place where you can have no excuses for not working.
Adam Grandiseel is my guest here on the World Cafe with his band, The War on Drugs. This feels like a good time to hear you play one from Lost in the Dream. Let's hear you play In Reverse, which I understand you're playing really differently than maybe it started out. Yeah,
we actually did a bunch of stuff out, a bunch of radio promotional stuff this summer in like some stripped down fashions, and we kind of had this, version of In Reverse that we cooked up, and then now we're playing, real shows, and we're still playing it in that same kind of. I'm playing acoustic, Anthony gets to play some beautiful electric parts, and everyone, and John like plays this great organ part that one day, Dave didn't even know what he was doing, and then Dave was like, dude, that organ part's incredible. I had no idea. It's like, even after 2 years of touring and 6 months of rehearsing, like, we're still blowing each other's minds, and we're still unlocking doors within our band that, maybe we took for granted or maybe we didn't know were there. So that's the song where, like, it's existed in this way before that was really important to me, but now it's like a new thing.
Beautiful. Let's hear you play it live here in studio. This is The War on Drugs with In Reverse.
Thanks for having us here at WXPN. World Cafe Live, thank you. Over here in the bass, we got Dave Hartley. Next in line to be the Sixers shooting coach. On the drums, we got Charlie Hall. Owner of the world's first tie-dye taco stand. Lead guitar, Anthony LaMarca. 2 days into the tour, by day 30, he'll be covered in patches, skin included. Fresh off 12-hour hibernation, John Natchez. Saxophone and organ. Sounds good, John. And the inspiration behind the tie-dye taco stand, Robbie Bennett on the keyboards. Even out in the street, talking about the war with me. In the background is a night I don't wanna hesitate. Where they tell me where you're hiding, the haze is no name. Tell me that you care, calling out your name in the darkness. When I'm done with my time here, I'm a keepsake strolling through the railway. But I never mind going. And I realize now that the room is bare. And I hear all through the grand parade. I don't mind you disappearing when I know you can be found. Maybe living on a dark night. Damn, I was living in the moment, leaving my grace. Just make me last with a grand parade in my Sometimes I wait for the cold wind to blow, and I struggle with myself right now, and I let the darkness in. And I don't mind chasing you to the back ways for the keys. It evaporates, it fades like a grand parade. I don't mind you disappearing, 'cause I know you can be found. Maybe living on a dark night. Yeah, but living in the moment, just making it last. I'm losing my
The War on Drugs performing live here at the World Cafe. That is In Reverse off their 2014 album Lost in the Dream. Adam Grandesteel, it's been a real pleasure to talk to you. You're going to play us one more song, yeah?
Yeah, we're going to play Pain.
The video for this song looks like so much fun.
Yeah.
You're on a barge.
The Barge Boys.
Barge Boys riding down a river in Philadelphia. Tell
Yeah.
me what this was like to shoot.
We, the Malloy brothers are pretty famous, like, music video directors. They've done all sorts of stuff over the years. And Emmett Malloy submitted this idea, and it was just like, his idea was pretty basic. It was like, I'm going to shoot it on 16 millimeter black and white film, and you're going to be on a boat floating down the Schuylkill. I was like, done. I was like, that's awesome. You know, I was like, Philadelphia's a big part of the band's identity and where our hearts are, you know, and the city's given us a lot. So they put it together. We had a great crew of guys. They painted the War on Drugs on the side of the boat.
Did you spend the whole day out on the barge playing? Like, you're playing your instruments on
Yeah, we
people-
were plugged in. Like,
Yeah.
we were actually playing.
Really?
Yeah. I will say, I will definitely at some point record drums on a barge. Because, like, I don't know, what steel or whatever, like, the snare drum echoing off the barge was, like, the best sounding snare drum I've ever heard. But it was a lot of fun. The crew was great. They got some really great shots.
That shot from overhead at the very end. People
Yeah,
should
some
go and watch
drones.
this.
Yeah.
Is it a drone?
Yeah,
It's beautiful.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe you'll have a barge concert sometime sooner. A dinner cruise with the War on Drugs down
Yeah.
the Schuylkill River in Philadelphia.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
All right. Well, everyone listening should go watch the video after you hear the War on Drugs perform the song Pain live here at the World Cafe. Adam, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Go to bed now, I can tell. Pain is on the way out now. Look away, coming home, goes away. I know it's hard looking in, knowing that tomorrow you'll be back again. Hang your head and let me in. I've been waiting so long. I've been staring into the light when I saw you in the distance and knew that you'd be mine. Now I'm moving back in time, but I'm standing still. I met a man with a broken back and a fear in his eyes I could understand. I can't even shake the hand, but I'm breaking. I'm just pulling on a wire, but it just won't break. I've been turning up the dial, but I hear no sound. I resist what I cannot change. I wanna find what can't be found.
performing Pain live here at the World Cafe. That is the War on Drugs. Man, oh man. Thank you so much to the whole band and to Adam Grandisiel for that chat. The War on Drugs' new record is called A Deeper Understanding. You're listening to the World Cafe.